Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Tech Insight series hosted by Techno Global in collaboration with True Digital Park. So, I am Angelo Racoma, and I am the editor at Techno Global, and I will be moderating today's panel. And we have an exciting panel today, and we have a very interesting topic of how to start up or how to expand in Thailand. And I would like to make introductions. We have Fabian Roish, the managing director and founder at Hydro Neo, which offers innovative solutions with a focus on the Thai shrimp industries. We also have Dr. Bert Groben, the CEO at Budding Innovations, which is Dr. Bert is a senior corporate global open innovation leader and a serial entrepreneur. And we also have Kantarot Laupradeep, who is the Senior Investment Promotion Officer from the Thailand Board of Investments. And finally, we have Dr. Tarit Niman Wudipong, who is the General Manager at True Digital Park. So at first, let's have a round of introductions. Dr. Tarit, we would like to start with you, please.
Thank you so much. Take note, Global, Angelo, yourself, for making this session possible, and would like to say hi to all the panelists, my fellow panelists. My name is Tarit. I'm looking after True Digital Park, which is the largest innovation hub of Thailand, and we are, trying to be the hub for the region as well. What we've been trying to do here is that we built a campus full of facilities that would help enable all kind of ecosystem players to come here, learn, thrive, and build their own business from ideas. So yeah, that would be my short version of introduction to True Digital Park. Looking forward to talk more.
Thank you, Dr. Tarit. How about the Yukon Kantarot? Any introductions from your end?
Okay, thank you, Angelo and TDPK, who gather us here today. And hello, fellow panelists, and warm greetings from Bangkok to the audience. It's a pleasure and honor for me to feature on your screen today. Let me take this brief moment to introduce myself, who I am, and what I do. Obviously, my name is Kantarot Laupradit. I'm a Senior Investment Promotion Officer at Thailand Board of Investment, or as familiarly known as the BOI. Currently, I'm tasked with running the Smart Visa unit and this sort of special talents program at One Stop Service Center for Visa and Work Permit under the BOI. Yes, back to you, Angelo.
Thank you, Kun Kantarot. And we have Fabian. Any word from you?
Yes, thanks a lot for the invitation. My name is Fabian. I'm the Managing Director and founder of Hydroneo. We are a smart farming company focusing on the aquaculture market. So here in Thailand, we started in 2019, became in 2019, and we're actually focusing on smart farming solutions for the shrimp industry, which is a huge industry here in Southeast Asia and in Thailand specifically. And we're just helping to make the shrimp industry more productive, more efficient, and at the same time, more sustainable. Thank you very much for having me here.
Okay, thank you. It's great to have you here also, Fabian. And lastly, Dr. Bert, any word from you for introductions? Okay, I think you may be muted, Dr. Bert.
Yes, I am. Sorry for that. Thanks, Angelo, for the invite, and thanks, TechNote, for the opportunity to be here. Like I was saying while I was on mute, I've been missing Thailand very much. COVID has been keeping me away from the tech innovation scene for far too long. So really looking forward to, first of all, this conversation, and then hopefully to re-emerge myself very, very soon in Bangkok and the wider ecosystem. Like you mentioned, my background has always been innovation, predominantly in health. I've done it academically. I've done it with big corporates, Procter & Gamble and Avery Dennison. So I bring a lot of corporate open innovation and brand building into the table. And then with Budding Innovations for the past 7 years, we have been doing it at the interface between corporates and startups. So we help corporates innovate, we help startups grow, and we help corporates and startups fall in love with each other so they can grow and innovate together. So that's what we do, and that's what we love to continue doing in Thailand as well.
Thank you, Dr. Bert. That's very interesting. Now, before anything, I would like to ask Dr. Tarit, can you share more about TDPK, your mission and what you do for the ecosystem.
I lost you for a second. Can you repeat the question again? Because the signal blipped.
Okay. Okay, Dr. Terret, can you share more about what True Digital Park does, your vision, and how you enable the ecosystem for corporates, for innovators, and for startups alike?
Yes, it's a good question, and it's the question that I can answer for an hour, but I'm trying to be short here. So
Okay.
basically, actually, Dr. Bert, he was here before, like sitting down with me, talking about how we could work together. So it's quite a big place. So basically, it's a cluster of buildings that we designed to be modern and look different than the rest of the building complexes in Bangkok. And that is also because we target specific group of people, to come here to look at this place as home and feel comfortable environmentally and also like infrastructurally. In this building, there are many facilities embedded in. So it ranges from, we have the biggest co-working space perhaps in Thailand here. We have a lot of meeting rooms. We have a lot of workshop rooms and auditorium. So basically, what does this mean, right? So you can just come here even if you are, by yourself, like a one-man company, or you want to come here to attend the events, or you want to come here doing the class or attend the class. So this is a place for all those kind of activities. And apart from this, we also have a large square meter portion of office that we target only tech corporates and tech startup tenants. So you can imagine it was very hard for me in the beginning that I was so selective about how and who can I put the right people. Otherwise, this building would be just like another building in our town, right? But I was so selective trying to curate the environment full of tech company, full of startups. And after 3 years, right now, we have about 98% occupancy, 150 startup companies, and 30 to 40 tech corporate and also government office. So that idea connects to my next point. So basically, in order to build the right environment for ecosystem to grow, I think we need the network of spaces, and we also need a network of people. So we are trying to build a network of people, of this vast startup ecosystem people in under one roof of this place. So I mean, I have prepared a slide with the 6 circles of different groups. If the presenter of the slide can next slide, please. Yeah, this one. So basically, this is the core element how I built True Digital Park. So there are 6 group of people. We have global tech corporates, so the employee come here. We have incubator and accelerator players that resides in this building and also run sandboxes or accelerator programs. We have government entities. They have a help desk here for the entity that helps speed up the innovation or have some responsibility about pushing startup ecosystem in Thailand here in our building as well. We have all the support service like legal, logistic, medical center in the building. We have network of venture capitalists in this ecosystem, and last but not least, a lot of startups. So 6 circles, you can see a lot of lines like across from any pair of these 6. So that's like the possibility the encounter between any pair of these people, right? So this makes us have the model of one roof or possibility at True Digital Park. So yeah, so that's a short version of how we build and how we run True Digital Park. Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, Dr. Terry. Sorry, I think I got logged off quite a bit. Go ahead,
No,
please.
I just wrap things up. So that should be the short version of my answer.
Okay, thank you for that, Dr. Terry. Now, one of the purposes of this the panel is exploring how companies or startups can get started up in Thailand, or how companies from global companies can also get started in the country. Now, of course, one of the concerns there would be the manpower or the HR, or perhaps I would like to address this question to Kun Kantarot. How does one, let's say, entrepreneur or innovator get into the country? What are the any specifics? Is there any visa requirement? I believe you would like to explore some of the concepts behind the smart visa. Kun Kantarot, please go ahead.
Yes, certainly. You can certainly make use of a smart visa that I'm supervising at the moment. So, with no further ado, I'd like to share with you the more details in my presentation on smart visa program, particularly the smart S for startups. So, I hope you find the information today useful for your further business arrangements and so on. Next, please. Next, please. Next slide, please. Okay, right. So in the first round, I think we should look at an overview of the benefits and qualifications of Smart S, and then, if time allows, I'd like to take this chance to also share with you Thailand's latest initiative to attract foreign talents and investors. The brand new long-term resident program is very exciting. I hope we have enough time. Next. Okay, so we're waiting for the next slide. As promised, okay, I talk about the Smart Visa program first. We're running this program for quite a while now. The idea is to attract foreign talents and technology in targeted industries. But what is it really? Smart Visa is actually a special kind of visa. To be exact, we launched it in February 2018. This one is designed to take care of the pain points of conventional visa and work permit regime, which entails many complications and inconvenience, as you foreigners should know better than I am. It is essentially expected to help attract and cater for the needs of foreign expats, especially talents, executives, investor, and startup entrepreneurs to work, invest, and start doing the business in Thailand. Next. Right, so talking about targeted industries, there are currently 13 of them, but we are expanding the list to 18 industries in a couple months. So I'd like to show you the new list instead of the current list. You can see that the list is very comprehensive. It includes industries that have deep connection with startup, such as digital industry, targeted technology development, and the management of technology innovation and startup ecosystems. So if your business or project is in one of these targeted industries, you are likely to qualify to apply and make use of Smart Visa if you can also satisfy other criteria, which I will elaborate in more detail shortly. Next. So as I already previewed, the Smart Visa actually targets 4 different types of people, namely Smart T for talents, Smart E for executives, Smart I for investors, and Smart S for startup, plus Smart O, that is the spouse and children of these visa holders, with each of them have different criteria. The privilege, yes, it's something that everyone is always interested. It is mainly the longer validity of the visa. It is up to 4 years per one time and is renewable. And also, the Smart Visa are not required to get work permit separately. So you can work in Thailand without having to obtain work permit. And the exemption from 421 employment quota, some of you might be familiar with this rule that in order to get one work permit, you need to hire 4 Thai employees. But with the Smart Visa, you can get away with that rules. And the 90 days report will be extended to 1 year report. So yeah, certainly more convenient. No re-entry permit required, and the access to the fast track service at international airports in Thailand. Next, please. Okay, so what does one need to do to be qualified for the Smart S? I like to today focus on the Smart S only, but here in this slide, you can see that we have the criteria for the Smart I too. I have a slide on the criteria of Smart T and E as well. So if the audience is interested, yeah, we can talk about this later, probably during the Q&A. Yes, so getting back to the Smart S, this is a visa for startup entrepreneurs to begin with, and it is actually divided into 3 different types with different visa terms and criteria. There are 3 different lengths offered for the Smart S: 6 months, 1 year, and 2 years, where applicants can choose to apply for the type that best suits their circumstances. So what does it mean? For example, if your startup is still in the early stage, like conceptual or pre-seeding or seeding stage, still trying to set up you haven't registered a business in Thailand yet, you could apply for the 6 months Smart S, where you only need to show your startup business plan or an acceptance letter from a certified domestic startup camp program like TDPK, for example. And alternatively, if you are someone who has been accepted or participated in any certified incubation or accelerator program in Thailand already, with 600,000 baht of saving anywhere in the world, or in Thailand, of course, you can apply for 1 year Smart S. And last but not least, if you already have a registered company under Thai laws in place, you could apply for 2 years. And if, as an applicant, you must hold at least 25% of the shares and or be one of the directors of the company. One more thing that I should mention, health insurance is also required for all types of Smart S. Next. The slide previous, the previous slide, please. Yes. Okay. Now let's look at how to actually apply for Smart Visa. The whole process could be divided into 3 phases. The first phase is to submit application online. Obviously, the most critical process here is just to register for Smart Visa online account in order to submit application online along with supporting documents. So don't bother sending us paper application. We don't accept it. And next, with the second phase, it starts after we receive a complete set of documents. We will coordinate with related agencies on behalf of you to request for an endorsement from those line agency. We will consolidate the results from each agency, and only if we receive positive results from all line agencies, such application yourself will be notified of the good news, and you will be entitled for the Smart Visa. As this process, I have to note, it involves several line agencies. So checking information and making decision and returning the result to the BOI at the same time. We will have to take a little bit of time. So it takes up to 30 working days. But just keep it in mind that, once you get the result from us, you don't need to go to different agency to get work permit and so on anymore. And for those who get rejected, I'm sorry, unfortunately, their journey has to end here. But on the other hand, for those who got the good news, they will get to proceed to the third phase, where they will need to collect the Smart Visa stamp in person. either the one-stop service for visa and work permit in Jamtri Square, Bangkok, or from overseas, from the Thai embassy or the Thai consulate overseas. The visa fee, in addition, is 10,000 baht per year. Yes, that's. I think I have used up my time, so I think I will just keep the next part about the long-term resident program in the next round, or if the audience have a request to hear about it in more detail. So back to you, Angelo.
Okay, thank you, Kun Kantarat, and that's an interesting concept in terms of entrepreneurs or innovators wanting to expand into Thailand. Now, going back to the question itself, why Thailand? I guess we can direct the question to Fabian. Being an entrepreneur, startup founder from Europe, a European country, right? What made you decide on expanding into Thailand?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. And actually, I think I could talk just about this question for the next 2.5 hours. Yeah, but I keep it very, very short. Being a German company and working in the shrimp industry, of course, when you hear that for the first time, it might sound a little bit exotic, I would call it now, and it is. Because the background is actually that I looked into shrimp farming myself, indoor organic shrimp farming in Germany. And while I looked into that, how to do it, I found out, or I found many challenges that Asian shrimp farmers especially have, and I thought, hey, this is such a big opportunity. Why do the shrimp farming? Why should I do the shrimp farming myself? I could help already existing shrimp farmers. So this is how I started to look into this industry. Yeah, as a short background. I then went to Singapore. There's actually an accelerator program by the German government. I went to Singapore. This is also where I met Bert, for example, for the first time. So it's an ecosystem that you can get to know quite quickly here in Southeast Asia, and this is one big part what I like about it. While I was in Singapore, I actually looked into the different countries, of course, into the top producers of shrimp, and Thailand was always like very high up in the list. Then I think I'm the perfect example, and I guess this is also the reason why I'm sitting here today. I got invited by the National Innovation Agency of Thailand to come to Digital Park, to the Startup 2019 conference, where I was able to look and get a feeling of the startup ecosystem of Bangkok and of Thailand in general in 2019. And of course, when already coming over here, I also took the time and I went out, visited a couple of shrimp farmers. And overall, I had a very good feeling. I got really good feedback. And then I learned about what Kantarat just said, the smart visa. So I also learned that it's not too complicated if you fulfill the requirements to actually get a smart visa, or to get a visa in general, and to be allowed to start operating or working here. So you can already see how everything somehow comes together. This is not just some theoretical concepts that we're talking about. When you're a startup founder, actually it's super easy and super helpful, everything. So to put it up together, I saw the opportunity. I saw Thailand being an extremely interesting market for what I want to do, our smart farming solutions. And then I saw that being operated or being able to come to Thailand is actually quite easy, because Thailand is welcoming you with open arms. And then I think the cherry on top of the cake was that through the Startup 2019 conference, I met or I heard about the Space F Accelerator, which is an accelerator program here in the agri and food tech area, co-founded by the, again, National Innovation Agency, by the Thai Union Group, and by Mahidol University. And then I thought, hey, I should apply there, and we got accepted, and then there was no question left anymore why choosing Thailand. Yeah, the destiny has decided for Thailand, I would say it, because everything was so smooth and so easy.
Okay, thank you for that, Fabian, and interesting insights. I would listening to your story made me think of Forrest Gump and the shrimping industry, right? That's just an aside. Okay, let's turn over to Dr. Bert. You mentioned that you're very well immersed in the innovation ecosystem, and well, being involved also since the past decade in Southeast Asian startups and innovation ecosystem, I can say there has been a lot of growth, a lot of changes here. So from your end, why Thailand in particular, right? And what do you think you what is there, right, to fall in love with, as you mentioned earlier? Over to you, Dr. Beck. Oh, I think you're the end, Dr. Beck.
Well, at least I'm consistent. I'm always on mute. So what's not to love? Thailand is the land of smiles. What's not to love? But there's obviously many, many more reasons. And in a way, I've been blessed to have had a chance to work with private innovation entities and governments all over the world to try and see how we drive innovation programs. But there is very, very few places in the world where both private industry and government are working hand in hand, and where governments in general are more helpful than being bureaucratic. Um, my journey eventually brought me to Southeast Asia. I was originally based in China, then Singapore, then Hong Kong, then back in Singapore. Um, and across the Asia region, there's literally two countries that stand out. Right, it's Singapore and it's Thailand, for very different reasons. Singapore is called the more mature, established market in the innovation ecosystem, and there is the good, but also the bad with being very established and more mature, right? It comes with overhead, it comes with certain limitations, although, yeah, we try to keep the balance. Um, if you then look at the next biggest, most energetic market, it's Thailand. Um, and for many reasons, I would always encourage other startups to consider Thailand as a headquarters to set up, to find talent, to establish, to grow, to mature their business. Or if in some cases a headquarter might be able to be better fit in Singapore from an IP or from a financial reason, they should still set up the operational base in Thailand. So Thailand, under every consideration, should be part of the strategy for startups. And one of the reasons why I do wanted to come to startup and to Thailand and recommend others is this balance of being vibrant, to being enabling, to being up and coming. Um, Thailand at the moment, if you look at the infrastructure, the programs, you could argue because it's up and coming, it's the latest of the latest. Everything is fresh, everything is new. The programs are custom made and they are in touch with what entrepreneurs and businesses need right now. These are not legacy systems that you're trying to make fit, but it's infrastructure and it's programs that are made to fit, and that are constantly evolving. I see it in the private sector, like Dr. Tarit is saying. It's like we're deliberately trying to create infrastructure that makes work light by bringing things together. I see the same with governments, different government agencies in Thailand. It's literally being implemented to make work light and to attract and make innovating easier. I see it on the business side of startups, where with a lot of the acceleration programs, there is, call it business acceleration, but what quite often gets forgotten is that the technical side of acceleration, right? Things still need to be built, still needs to be prototyped, things still need to be manufactured. And I see both sides of the ecosystem coming up in Thailand. Um, Size of the market. One of the downsides of Singapore is it's a very small country and there's only so much talent that you have access to. Thailand is a much bigger market. You have much more diversity of talent coming out of the universities and the local ecosystems and companies that you can compete for, and hire and build your company. Likewise, quality of life and cost of living and enjoyment of living in Thailand is very high, right? Who doesn't want to live in Bangkok? And traffic aside, it's a really great place to not only work but also, yeah, build out the life in the longer term. So there's many reasons, professionally and personally, why Thailand should be there. Why budding innovations in particular was looking forward for Thailand. So we operate in two industries where Thailand is leading. It's food and functional foods and bordering into agriculture. And the other side, healthcare. Thai's health infrastructure is second to none. The service healthcare and the capability healthcare with all the private and governmental institutions, we wanted to be part of that. We want to make sure we can innovate for Thailand, but also with Thailand, and really then being participating in how do we set up the infrastructure with both governmental and private partners. That's why obviously, hopefully, Dr. Terry, we can continue our conversation on how can we put both sides of the equation together for better ecosystem. That's what we wanted to do. That's where budding innovation tries to make a difference for corporates, for startups, and at the interface between the two. But likewise with governmental agencies, and maybe I need to submit my smart visa for Thailand to be able to help in setting up that ecosystem and that infrastructure. That's where we wanted to make a difference, and that's where it's a very exciting market. Thailand is very big, very very capable. In the center of excellence where budding innovation sits, which is health, preventative healthcare, functional foods, and sustainability. So continue to look forward to get my hands on more collaborations in Thailand.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Bert. I would like to make a follow-up question to you, Dr. Bert, since you mentioned earlier that COVID situation has somehow limited you in terms of being more immersed in the innovation scene in maybe in the region or in Thailand. So the question is, how do you build connections, especially during this situation, right? And what help do you get from the infrastructure in terms of support, in terms of connections that are enabling you, given the pandemic?
The bottom line is there is no substitute for human connection, right? The in-person connection, shaking someone's hand, having a conversation. There's very few things that can replace that. With a video call, most of the non-verbal communication gets lost. So during COVID times, we just need to be very aware that non-verbal communication is lost, and that through video calls and through email, we just need to be even more personable, even more transparent, and try to build a trust-based relationship with people to push this forward. So one of the reasons, or one of the things that we saw is we've been used to working with a global clientele, right? So BI is based in Singapore, is expanding into Thailand, but we've got our clients that's sitting anywhere in the world. So we're kind of used that most of these interactions are in a virtual environment. But quite often they start up with this personal component. So what we then obviously encourage for ourselves, but also for our startups, is make any connection very personable and very intentful. My personal point of view is during COVID, I have not been very active in all these online mass events where everybody is looking at a screen, but we're not really conversing. You have 5 minutes to ask a question. But what I really, really encourage is pick up on those individuals that you have a personal interest for and invite them for a separate conversation. And make it very intentful. Make it very intentful to listen, to build that personal rapport, find out what difference can I make for that person, and build that connection. I think if you deliberately focus on building that connection online, then that's a very good substitute to keep your business going and prepare for better times to come. Right? COVID is hopefully soon behind us. Travel restrictions are easing finally. So everybody that has been active in pre-working these personal relationships while we had nothing else in video conferences, I think they're in a very good situation to build from that when travel becomes possible again. So be intentful, build those personal reactions. Don't make it a generic thing to join mass events and hoping for the best, but just go after where you think you can make a difference.
Thank you, Dr. Bert. I think this also goes well. It's the same for physical events as well, right? The larger scale ones, vis-a-vis, getting the right connections. Now, I would like to direct a question to Fabian. I read a report from the NIA that talent acquisition or talent build-up has always been a challenge, or is still a challenge in Thailand and in the region. Now, in terms of finding the right support in infrastructure, how does your team or company address this need? And maybe to expand on that, how do you also find partners and users, and what kind of support will a company like yours need in this regard?
Okay, how do I start? I think these are a couple of very important questions, and they have very extent answers. But to put it short, I think one big bonus that Thailand has is what Dr. Bird already said. We get applications, for example, when we're looking mostly for technical people, software developers, electronic engineers, and similar. And we can see that we actually get very capable, very good applicants out of Thai universities, but also from all over the world, because people want to come to Thailand and work. We saw that during the COVID times, although the traveling was very difficult, last year, for example, when the situation in Thailand was more relaxed in terms of COVID, we saw applicants trying to flee their home countries and come to Thailand, because here everything was life was still happening. And with the help of, again, the Smart Visa, for example, which we talked about, the Smart Visa S for the startup entrepreneurs, but we also have the Smart Visa T, which is a very easy way to get high-skilled developers, for example, here into the country. I think this is a very, very it gives you a big bonus point when you, as a small company, compete against large companies that, of course, can pay much more. But you can say, hey, have you ever wanted? I'm sure you always wanted to live in Bangkok for a couple of years. We will give you the opportunity, so please come to us and join us. So this helps a lot. We can also see that, or what my personal experience is that. That the network, having the network here in Thailand, personal network, is extremely important. And I mean, I've studied business, and in business school, you hear that from the first class onwards. Grow your network, go networking all the time. It's such a generic statement, but somehow here I learned that it's even more important, and it's so fruitful. So, for example, I already told you about my story, how I ended up here where I am right now. Many things just happened. You could make the argument out of coincidence or because of the network, because I went to events before COVID, but even during COVID times, there are events. Some are digital, some are outside on the open air, or smaller. They have always existed. And then you start talking to people, and all of a sudden, you find the perfect match in any regard. So let me give you two examples. We were looking, when we arrived here in Thailand, and still being in the accelerator program, we looked for our first Thai team member. And then by coincidence, we found who is now our customer success manager. We found him because we were back then based in the Mahidol University campus. And just one floor below us, his wife is working as a researcher. And somehow we heard about shrimp farming, etc., etc. And one came to the other, and he joined our team. Having talked about True Digital Park already, our financial director is the former CCO of True Digital Park, who I met through the accelerator programs as well. So you see, Bangkok is a massive city. Thailand is a big country. But when you go out and you network and you just speak with people about what you're looking for, and you help each other, then all of a sudden things happen and things work out. And I think Thailand is setting a very good example of actually making it also possible with like the BOI promotion, for example, or the Smart Visa, that this can actually happen. Did I answer your question correctly?
The network effect is, I think, plays a big part, right, in finding the right connections. So I guess I'd like to address a question to Dr. Territ and to Kun Kantaro. Given that there are these respective regulatory and legal and perhaps compliance requirements that companies might want to consider look into, right, before expanding into the country, how does your organization, how does TDPK, provide support to founders, to entrepreneurs, to innovators who are keen on exploring these? And I guess I should also add on Fabian's network effect aspect, right? Does your organization also provide support in terms of building up capability?
So should I go first, or P. Kantarot, you want to go first on behalf of the government of Thailand? perhaps.
Hang on. Sure, I can go first if you want.
Yes, please.
Okay, in that regard, could I have my slide on again? I have to warn you, I will embark on another sort of
Okay.
like 5 minutes long session of explaining what we have to offer here. Okay, right. As my title as uh, investment promotion officer goes, I'm not very keen on talking about various hurdles of doing business in Thailand, but I can tell you that there are a set of laws and regulations involved that you need to comply in order to start doing business in Thailand, such as you have to register your business with Department of the Business Development, and then you have if your company is a foreign majority one, meaning foreigners hold more than 50% of the share in your company, you need to obtain foreign business license before operation too. And not to mention the fact that you need a business visa and work permit too in order to work legally in Thailand, with only exception again for smart visa holder. In addition, you also need to acquire a specific permit if your business is restricted under different specific laws, such as a permit from Thai FDA for food and medicines, or permit from the Bank of Thailand or the Thai Security Exchange Commissions for finance-related businesses. So, the advice is obviously to comply to all these laws and regulations. But that isn't very useful, right? So today I'd like to probably introduce you with a way to deal with those tricky red tapes wisely, effectively, and efficiently with the support of the BOI. Next slide, please. Okay, and I'd like to thank Dr. Bert and Fabian for your commitment in Thailand and rooting for us investor like you are the reason why us BOI officers go to work every day. But actually, is this the BOI's job to ensure that Thailand will remain competitive and particularly in the face of the pandemic, which Thailand is no exception, being hard hit by the pandemic. We also have to mitigate the negative impacts of the pandemic while tapping into the opportunities, the new one that will arise. So we offer attractive tax and non-tax incentives to a comprehensive range of industries and businesses, which I will elaborate later on. We also provide comprehensive information and advice on establishing operations in Thailand. We also work on behalf of you to coordinate with the foreign business community, the Thai the business community, and also public agencies. And last but not least, we give various facilitation, such as the right to own land and the facilitation with regard to visa and work permit. Next slide, please. All right, so actually, our scheme is available for both local and foreign companies. So if a Thai company and foreign company has exactly the same project, both will get the same incentives from us. So fair and equitable treatment is what foreign companies are guaranteed to enjoy here. Our tax incentives include things like corporate income tax exemption, corporate income tax reduction, investment tax allowances, exemption of import duty on machinery or on raw materials, and so on. This will come very useful if you are manufacturing. And at the same time, we also offering non-tax incentives. I already mentioned we give the right to own land for foreign companies, which you probably know by now that as a foreign company, you are not allowed to buy land. But with the BOI promotion, with the BOI certificate, yes, you can own land for your project. And I should also note that you also have the right to be 100% foreign owned if you are promoted by the BOI. The BOI is authorized to grant the waiver to restriction under the Foreign Business Act, which is a principal law governing foreign business in Thailand. You don't. So you still need to get that foreign business license, but it will be much easier with the help of the BOI. And last but not least, I already mentioned what we can offer with regard to visa and work permit with the smart visa. And also, if you don't get to apply for the smart visa, if you are someone who works for the BOI project, you can also get the visa and work permit relatively easily than in normal cases. Next, please. So I'm not going to get into too much details in these slides, but just to give you just a snapshot of basic holiday tax holiday package that we have to offer. We divide eligible activities into 6 different categories with different level of incentive for each one. Next. Yes. Okay. For example, with digital industry, which I assume the startup usually identify themselves with, we offer incentives to software development, platform services, and digital content, digital infrastructure businesses, if that's the case, and also the digital ecosystem supporting business. Next. Yes. So this slide just shows how each activity is categorized in different group, which gives different incentives. So you can see here that the software development and platform services and the digital content, which our startups are in the A2. And what does it mean to be in the A2? Next, please. Okay, to be in the A2, basically, you will get 8 years of tax holiday and exemption of import duty on raw material and machinery and computer and so on. So again, this might come into very useful if you're manufacturing, but I believe that even with startup, sometimes have to import something sometimes, right? And in return, what do we want from you? Okay, so we need you to hire Thai IT talents and give them at least 1.5 million baht per year. And at the same time, incorporate significant development process in your project in Thailand. Next. Okay, so how is one going to go about to apply for the BOI? First, submit online. Okay, so paper, please, and then we will request a chance to interview you, talk with you. You don't need to come to our office. We can have a video conference. Yes, and you can explain your project in detail. And then it will take us around 30 to 90 days, depending on the size of the project, to consider your project. And then once the project is approved, you must pick up the certificate at the BOI. And then after you pick up the certificate, 36 months after that, we will need to do a little bit of the post audit just to see if you follow through or not. All right. I think I have used a lot of time this round. So let me give the floor back to you.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you also asked me, right? So on top of the reason why I think I want Kun Kan is that because these are the mandatory steps in order to properly enter Thailand and apply for the right permit, right? For True Digital Park, of course, I mean, we are the facility, the hub, whatever you want to call it, that we are trying to help you as a one-stop service or the entry point. So basically, like if you lost in translation, if you lost in details, if you don't know exactly like where to connect with whom first, you can always come to True Digital Park. And we have the staff that can answer your question and guide you and connect you to the right people and recommend you the steps. Because you can hear there are a lot of steps, of course. I mean, it might not be as great or as easy as Singapore yet, but I mean, a lot of entities is trying to, put their hands together and trying to help. In this case, we, True Digital Park from the private sector, is trying to help as well. We do have one program that might be very helpful. It is called Startup Booster. So I mean, the name might make sense or might not make sense to someone, but Startup Booster is basically the curated program that we tailor for the foreign startup to come into Thailand easily. And we work with BOI on this. We also work with National Innovation Agency with this. So basically, the entity who organized Startup Thailand that Fabian attended 3 years ago, right? So in order to enter to this program, basically you just like contact us first, and then we're gonna talk to you about go through all the steps. You have to submit your business case. You have to prepare the documentation, and also we're gonna provide you with the information about take you into our residency, which means that if you want to apply the smart visa through Digital Park, you will be the Digital Park office, which is actually very handy because I mean, when you come to see us, you know exactly the space, how it looks. You're gonna see like the kind of people you're gonna vibe with or not, and also like all the services. Like, are these okay with you? Even the restaurant down there, right? If you feel click, if you think this is easy enough for you, you can select the package, how long you want to be here. You submit the business case with that, and then in a matter of a week or two, I think you get the Smart Visa Type S. So basically, all in one package, easy to understand, one-stop service, don't have to go to a lot of places.
Thank you, Dr. Tarrant. Now, we have a couple of questions from the audience, which I think you, Dr. Tarrant, can best address. So, number one, I guess it's more of the market questions, right? Do you know if there are any sectors that are becoming popular in the foreseeable future? And what types of businesses are preferred or are in demand by Thai people, or perhaps maybe even on a larger scale in the region, from your perspective?
From my perspective, means that how I see things develop at True Digital Park in the past maybe a year or two. Um, I would believe that COVID has accelerated a lot of sectors positively and also killed some of them as well. I mean, for those getting accelerated, it's very clear. Fintech, of course, right? So everyone is using e-payment, a lot of blockchain ideas. I don't even mention about cryptocurrency. So if you talk about blockchain application, there are a lot of them, a lot of protocols are very interesting happening in Thailand right now. Apart from that, of course, e-commerce is also driven by COVID, right? All the delivery. So when e-commerce is booming, logistics sector is naturally growing as well. So these three are perhaps like the most fast-paced growing sectors in my view. But apart from this, there are a lot more, right? So martech, so basically the marketing and arts. I mean, they are of course empowered by NFT, which is like hinges upon the wave of the cryptocurrency and blockchain as well. And National Innovation Agency is supporting it, so it's growing. So I mean, people staying at home, getting bored, so they are trying to look for things that can entertain them, and only possible by technology that these entertainment or media or contents can come to life on screen, right? So yeah, there are a lot of subsectors that are very interesting, but the three that I mentioned are perhaps like the most like fast growing ones.
Okay, thank you for that, Dr. Terry. Now, I think we are about to wrap up our discussion. So, maybe a round of, a question for all our panelists. What are your advice? What is your advice or any word to companies who are looking to start up or expand in Thailand? So, let's go first with Fabian. Any advice to the audience?
Okay, so I have the shortest time to think about this question. Um, No, I would say prepare yourself for coming here to Thailand. Think about how you want to do it. The tools are there. You just need to, fill out a couple of forms. Let's say, like for example, the Smart Visa. But make sure you apply early enough. The BOI promotion, if you want to start operations here with 100% ownership, just like I have done it, for example. It is a very smooth process, but it still takes time. And as an entrepreneur, I think there's no category of people that are more impatient than entrepreneurs. Yeah? So just pay attention to your timeline. But otherwise, be open, and I would say let yourself be surprised how things work and magically happen here in Thailand. I think I've already mentioned a couple of times how one thing led to the other after I came here. So just be open and see what Thailand brings to you as well as what you can give to Thailand. I find it an extremely entrepreneurial country. The mindset here is extremely entrepreneurial, and I'm not just talking about these very deep tech startups, but so many people that I've met. My colleagues here have already, like worked in a small startup or just like started their own little SME for a certain period of time. So I'm always find it surprising how entrepreneurial the Thai people are. So just come here, enjoy your time. As Bert said, it's a very nice country. It's a great Bangkok. It's a great place to be, not just to work, also to live. So be open and enjoy, and bring your startup to success.
Thank you, Fabian. I've been to Thailand several times, and I do agree with your observation also in terms of the entrepreneurial nature of the people and the environment. Dr. Bert, any concluding words from you and any advice to the audience on expanding into Thailand?
And I'm off mute this time. Great. I agree with Fabian, but I'm also a little bit biased towards Thailand because my future wife is Thai. So Thailand obviously is number one. Um, the other advice that I would give people is when you expand into a country, expand for the long run. Right? This is not opportunistic, a grab and go. Right? This is landing, but landing on Mars, landing in a new spot, landing in a new country, a new country, but set up to stay. So like Dr. Terit was indicating, set up the right way, right? Get your basic steps right. People need to internalize what Kun Kantarot was saying is what are the requirements to make sure you can operate in Thailand in a stable and a long-term way. So really make sure that you do the things right intentionally from the get-go. But it also means going to a new place with the mindset that you may not fully understand your consumer, the business environment, and even more so the multi-layers of a new culture. The Thai way is not the Singapore way. The Thai way is not the European or the American way. And quite often people, I don't know, kind of feel like this business mentality is like a uniform thing where everybody does the same thing, but it's just not true. Different culture value different things. So one of the most important things when you set up for the long run in a new place is fall in line with the vibe, learn the richness, learn and enrich yourself with how a new culture works. Ingrain yourself in the business environment, but also build up roots in a personal life, your social life, and learn from a personal network as much as from a professional network. And I think that kind of sets a really good basis for long-term success because you're set up in a more stable way.
Thank you for that valuable insight, Dr. Bert. And I do wish everyone, long-term success in your endeavors. Kun Kantaro, any word from you, any advice or any concluding statements?
Sure. My advice is quite simple. Just make use of all the resources available to you. Don't let them go wasted. Smart Visa, the BOI support measures, and capable private partners like the TDPK. Their services, as I listening, was wonderful. And on that note, one thing that I might want to advertise a little bit. Let me take a brief moment to introduce a service at our One Start One Stop for investment, or the OSOS. It is located downtown in Jamturi Square. So it's in the CBD. It's very much easy to access. There we kind of also gather various representatives from various government agencies. So if you go there, you can have a comprehensive range of services under one roof to save your time and so on. So even though our service is free, and some of our services might sound like what the TDPK is also offering, but I also want to encourage you to make use of the service at the TDPK as well, because I believe that there are some services that as a government agency we can provide, but TDPK can provide. And last but not least, if you want to follow up on something that I have said today, because I believe that I kind of gave you a lot of information, please feel free to get in touch with me or my team. Yes, that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Kantaro. And Dr. Tariq, any concluding statements from your end, and any advice to companies or innovators who might want to expand into the country, and maybe how you can provide the structure and support in that regard?
Yeah, sure. I think the three panelists, they cover most of everything already. For me, it's more like I want to invite you to think a little bit more about this moment of challenges that we are facing right now. I think this is truly a downtime. I mean, the challenge is real. I think COVID doesn't seem to go away, even if we felt like it should have gone like last month already, but here it comes back again. But believe it or not, this is the right time to build. And I think just like Fabian said and Dr. Bird said, I think you need to really plan well and really try to imagine the localization when you try to immerse into the new culture, the new country. I mean, Thailand is a land of possibility. I mean, it used to be a land of smile, but I mean, with these challenges, I'm not sure anymore if smile is still there. But of course, it's a land of opportunities. With all hands of the government is trying to help business to thrive or to rebound, right? So this is actually the best entry time if you want to build a new country. When you come in, everyone wants to help. Even if they're passively waiting for you, they're waiting to help. And for me, I try my best to build True Digital Park to be the destination for the less opportunistic people. They don't know where to go, they don't know how to start, they don't know whom to talk to, they don't even know how to build a network. I have to build the place like this to be that, in order to serve not only one but the rest of the country and beyond that. I mean, we are private sector, but we work so close with the government. We are trying to attract the foreign investment to Thailand as well as foreign business to Thailand. So, I mean, let me invite you here. Thailand is a land of opportunities. It's a good time to enter. And me, as True Digital Park, or Kun Kantarot as BOI, and many more people are so willing to help you.
Thank you for that, Dr. Tariq, and that is certainly encouraging and very insightful thoughts into how we can overcome the current situation. And I think that having the structure, having the support from both the private sector and the government will surely be helpful, and for innovators and the ecosystem builders like ourselves at Techno Global as well. Okay, so that concludes our panel for today. And thank you, Dr. Tariq. Thank you, Kun Kantaro. Thank you, Fabian and Dr. Bear, for being with us today. And thank you, the audience, for watching. This has been Techno Global, and in cooperation with Two Digital Park. And we have discussed building connections and capabilities before landing in a Thai market. Have a great day, everyone, and see you next time.
Thank you so much. Bye now.